all right, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. Let me just take these off. I hope you guys are having an incredible rest of your day, wherever it is that you're tuning in from. Today, we're talking all about the HEYOKA, okay? And why the HEYOKA energies are so powerful, so potent. And the HEYOKA is a very, very powerful archetype, okay? So it's called the sacred clown for a reason, okay? All right. So let me just open this up, see if the sound is working. Okay, perfect. Sound is working. Share with the tribe. Awesome. This is a great topic. Thank you to one of our adepts, Mathis, for requesting this topic today. Brilliant. By the way, guys, I made us all look like Pantheon characters last night. Um, Maybe I'll just share that later. But yeah, very, very powerful. The holy medicine of the rebel mirror. Okay. This is a very, very potent medicine. Okay. So listen close. Okay. This isn't your average bedtime sermon with a feather and a flute. We're talking heyokas. Okay. This is not your crystal soaked empath with a vegan tote bag and a TikTok tantrum. We're talking about the raw, raucous, and ridiculous medicine of the sacred clown. Okay, the sacred clown essence, the sacred clown energy. Was this God's cosmic prank sent to expose where you're full of shit? Right? Was this a way for the universe to tell where we're all BSing? Because isn't what is happening on the planet right now, the thunder beings, the Heyoka, waking people up to source consciousness again? Unafraid of narcissists, unafraid of political leaders, unafraid of the king because the gesture stays right beside the king and can merge and befriend anybody. This is why comedians have such a free speech. They have such a rule over this cancel culture, right? Yo, Ryan G, yo, Samba, right? So now we understand it that a lot of people wear the crown of accountability, but they do it only to decapitate truth. They blame the Matrix and they worship the Matrix and they court the Matrix and they cry to the Matrix, right? They slap the feminine, then they beg for her devotion. They claim moral karma, then they build empires on broken backs. And when the lies tighten around their skin like a silk noose, they call it a necklace of justice. So this isn't actual power, right, guys? This is what most modern day influencers are trying to do. It's mostly like a sermon for a broken king or queen, okay? Screaming from a collapsing temple, hoping the echo will sound like thunder. But if you want real leadership, you build a tribe that doesn't require slaves. You build a voice that doesn't spit shame on people. You lead like the future depends on your integrity, right? And most people use persona propaganda designed to radicalize identity confused people. Most people are confused at their identity. Who the fuck am I, right? So you have to not just justify um, your exploitation in this paradigm, they are also selling their salvation for a price, right? Whereas the sacred clown doesn't care for your fragile ego. They come to mug your, mean mug your illusions, kiss your wounds, dance on graves of your sacred cows. You're out here praying for peace and they hand you a paradox, right? You want light? They bring you a flaming mirror and say, look, because they feel you, because they feel you, all of you, not your soul, not your social mask, your subconscious flinch. Okay. So laughter is a sweet, twisted medicine. Because you ever stop and think how weird it is when something's funny? You bare your teeth like an animal, you wheeze like you're possessed. You know, people's laughter sometimes you're going, what the, right? You lose muscle control, like your soul has left the building, and then you cry. Some people cry when they laugh. What kind of divine comedy is this cosmic glitch, right? You think you're chuckling at a meme? Nah, bruv. Your abdominals are convulsing, right? Your lungs are forcefully exercising air, and your reflexes are tanked, and your knees betray you like Brutus did Caesar. And yet we love laughing, and yet we crave laughter. And here's the savage truth: laughter didn't start in TED Talks or stand-up specials. It started when the hairy, mud-rolling mammals wrestled to say, I'm not going to kill you. I vibe with you. And then the apes cackled together, and the rats giggled and tickled, and the birds tweeted their way into some version of joy. But then why do we laugh when we're awkward, when we're nervous, when we're startled, right? Because evolution got high on social bonding, right? Laughter became the glue. It's like your primal broadcast signal to say, yo, I'm safe, let's tribe up. So even fake laughs are like a code switch. And if you notice real laughs versus fake laughs, you'll start to notice this, right? The real ones, they come from the reptile layers of your brain, right? The ancestral ooze of truth. And the phonies, that's just your frontal cortex tap dancing for approval. But yeah, you can hear the difference. Someone trained can hear the difference, let's just say. So babies can, strangers can, and thank you, Prasad. So babies can, strangers can, hell, spirits probably can too, but let's get mystical with it, right? Because laughter opens portals. You release endorphins, you destroy cortisol, and you literally shift your frequency. You become more magnetic, more alive. And it's not just ha ha ha, it's ha 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 harmonization, right? So you laugh like a hyena on holy water, but maybe not with a cracked rib, right? Then you're just asking the universe to punchline your pain. The HEYOKA ain't here to be liked. They're the fucking walking paradox. No, I'm not. Threesomes with a fucking triceratops reptar. Okay? Holy profane, angelic vulgar, joker mystic, right? Outlaw jester. They piss off your programming with purpose. Mockery becomes mercy in their hands, right? And they strip your delusion with cosmic comedy, like a spiritual assassin in clown point. So the empath, yes, but miss me with that snowflake shit, because this is like a psychic bandwidth, right? Not emotional sensitivity, oversensitivity. They don't cry because you're mean, right? Heyokas don't cry because you're mean. They cry because they feel the earth scream. They laugh not because it's funny, but because your ego just tripped over its own leash. So truth isn't always pretty. Neither is medicine, right? A spoonful of sugar, have some medicine, go down, right? So sometimes the highest love sounds like sarcasm. Sometimes God sends you a meme, not a mantra. Sometimes the only way to reach the soul is through the spleen. And that's why Heyokas carry surgical humor, not synthetic harmony. They're soul level psychopomps, bridging the basement to your stardust, channeling from the underworld to Instagram, joking with the shadows while secretly baptizing your higher self in the river of what the fuck just happened? If you're stuck in one paradigm, expect the clown to kick the ladder. Because wholeness isn't found in pretending to float. It's the slam of extremes. It's the punchline of paradox, right? It's the dance between something grotesque and divine. So heyokas are like drum beating outliers, right? Anomalies, medicine misfits, the cosmic interruption that you did not even know that you needed. And they don't play nice, they play real. And if you can't take the joke, then you weren't ready for the truth. Because here's the real point of this: amusement is the highest frequency, not because it's shallow, but because it's what happens when you've died in every way that matters and came back laughing. So, to all of you soft seekers who want to stay in the light, the sacred clown ain't here to protect your comfort. It's here to destroy your cage with a wink, with a roar, with a joke so holy it rewires your soul. So, stay triggered, stay cracked open, stay real, and remember, if you can't laugh at yourself, the universe will do it for you. Okay? Welcome to the domain of the priest beast or the priestess beast, where comedy is a blade, identity is fluid, and the truth walks in with war paint. You're about to enter the realm of the HEYOKA. Okay? Not your average light worker, but a mirror master, right? Timeline bender, ego surgeon, whose power lies in reversals, in rebellion, in radical reflection. So let's break it down. Okay? Got 5 people watching. Excellent. Let's break it down, guys, right? So Heyokas don't ride the collective wave. They flip it inside out, if you notice. In a world of compliance and copy-paste gurus, they zig where others zag. Not because they want to rebel, but because truth is allergic to trends. So they challenge the matrix, not for clout, but because of conformity calcifies consciousness. Okay, so they think in fractals, not in lines. Linear logic bores Heyokas. Heyokas download insight sideways. They speak in riddles, they laugh in paradoxes, and they dismantle illusions like it's foreplay. Right? You ever seen that MMA fighter named what was his name? Ryan G probably knows who I'm talking about. Tony Ferguson, right? Isn't this such a Heyoka moment? Right? What a Heyoka moment. He's in such joy, but he's bleeding. You see, this is like channel from an Akashic jungle of lived polarity, man, because sometimes Heyokas laugh when others cry. You see, it's not from cruelty, it's from clarity, because sacred laughter is actually frequency resets. Laughter is a vibration breaker, right? So Heyokas know that when you take life too seriously, you forget that this life is all a dream. So they don't escape pain. They metabolize it into cosmic comedy. They'll mirror you, but this is no subtle mirroring. They'll exaggerate the mirror. They'll reflect your inner child and your inner tyrant back to your grace and your guilt. They'll wear your ego back like a carnival mask until you break or you break through. So their gift is discomfort. Their medicine is honesty. They say what you're not ready to hear. They'll tell you no fluff, raw truth. They'll tell you your spiritual bypassing stinks like sage-scented denial. Not to shame you, but to free you. Because real love doesn't coddle your defense mechanisms, does it? So, in a sense, Heyokas really care, right? They really care. What do we call them earlier, Ryan G, before we knew they were called Heyokas? Akaios or something like that. We call it something else, right? Heyoka's souls carry blueprints of ancient shamans, yet they play like mischievous kids. So wisdom without rigidity, power without pretense, right? They remember the sacred and the silly and the divine and the dirty. So, correct, says Ranji. Yeah. So they age backwards in a strange way, right? If you're talking about longevity and anti-aging pills, you gotta just learn to laugh, man. Because joy is anti-aging, right? Seriousness is the disease that makes you grow older. So they glow because their frequency's unburdened. They don't just heal others, they laugh themselves into radiance. Okay? So they interrupt you with truth bombs. And this is not because they're rude, because timing is psychic. They speak from the flow. If the transmission comes through, they drop it mid-sentence, mid-silence, mid-reality, right? So Heyokas don't fantasize. They architect timelines. Their imagination is the ritual. They dream up new dimensions where art, spirit, and soul start dancing naked, in a sense. They shift minds without consent. And that's not manipulation. It's basically an activation. So narcissists gaslight to trap others. Heyokas enlighten to liberate. That's the difference. Their mind magic doesn't seduce the ego. It seduces the truth back into you. So if you feel misunderstood or paradoxical or too weird for your own mirror, you might not be broken. Maybe you're just built different. Maybe you're a Primal Sutra Heyoka. You're not here to fit in, but you're here to fracture illusions and midwife humanity's rebirth. You are the axis of integration, the rebel mirror. Okay? You are the medicine that triggers the transformations to happen. And if people don't get the joke, it wasn't meant for them. Right? Let me tell you, when the cloud people declare you a clown, that's got to be something serious, right? You're not a circus monkey, you're a sacred disruptor, forged in paradox, anointed by thunder beams. Hawkinayan, right? Or something like that, they're called. Hawkinayan. Hawkina. Hawkiyan. Okay. There's the Heyokas and then there's the Hawkayan. They're the male and female, I believe. But again, they're genderless because really this energy is just a trickster being, right? Heyoka is forged in paradox, anointed by thunder, and exiled by those who can't handle the truth in a joke. So listen, nobody chooses to become a clown, right? In a lot of traditions, they say that the lightning is associated with psychic powers, correct? Even in India, we have that. There was a great movie. I don't know if you guys can find it, Bengali movie, where they found the city of gold, and there was this old man. One of my favorite movies, I would say, in Bengali. I'll see if I can find it and share with the adepts. But basically, it was amazing, man. It just showed you that being near lightning or thunder, like I remember being a kid and just going up to the balcony and then just having like thunder or lightning zap past me, right? Like almost touch me in a sense. I've had many moments like that. And I think back to that time thinking like, did the lightning choose me? Like, was that meant to happen for this prophecy to unfold? Like, maybe I'm just making things up, right? You think that a lot on the spiritual path, don't you? But one day the sky cracks open like a cosmic spurt of smirk. No, don't get any ideas, right? Um, and said, you are the weapon of truth. Get in, right? All right, get in, loser. We're about to shift timelines, right? Or whatever that means. So this man got hit by raw voltage of the creator. Imagine. Wrapped in lightning and a robe of fire, flipped midair like a cartoon, landed upright, still running, right? Doesn't that sound like a divine prank initiation, right? So this zapping, this right? That's the thoughts, the electricity. Did anyone explain to this person that this was a sacred thing? No, the elders shrugged, the leaders were confused because real sacredness isn't in the books, it's in the burn. So what did this any unrecognized prophet does, right? He rampaged, he jumped from bridges, he leapt from moving cars, not for clout, not for followers, but because his spirit didn't fit in this caged ass consensus reality. And then the dream, climbing the hill, ancestors, ancient ceremonies that his ego tried to sneak away from him started to show up. And spirit called this person out. Wait, we got some gifts for you, right? Not without the test, not without the sweat, not without the sacrifice, right? Because real power isn't handed over, it's earned through trials. And that's the way of the Heyoka. It's not a title, right? It's not a personality type, as many people are claiming it to be. Okay. It's a soul contract signed in lightning and thunder and laughter. They don't smile because life is easy. They smile because they've danced with death and they still got jokes, right? So this is what I was calling Ryan G a Heyoka, right? Shared art Heyoka. Check the Adams channel. All right, sweet. Cool. All right, so there's real there's a few real clowns left, right? And they don't smile because life is easy. They smile because they're way beyond survival, right? They heal because they've touched madness and came back with medicine. So there's few real clowns left because the world doesn't want truth in a funny voice. They want filters and fluff, not fire and funk, right? But let me tell you something. The world doesn't end when clowns disappear. It just gets boring. It forgets its own myth. I mean, not those like, hey, 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 not those kinds of clowns, but Heyoka clowns. You know what I mean? People who are glitches in the matrix. So if you're a little weird, if lightning has kissed your nervous system, if you laugh at inappropriate moments and dream in riddles, then maybe, just maybe you're one of us, right? A sacred fool, a storm that's baptized as a shapeshifter, a clown, a sacred jester of the Primal Sutra. Not here to fit in, but to fry the ego with a chuckle, to restore the soul's memory with a wink. And if your therapist can't explain it, the clouds already did. Okay? Now go and make God laugh today. This isn't a myth, okay? You've been called, you know it now. Now remember who you are, right? The universe speaks in paradox, not perfection. Your initiation doesn't come from gift-wrapped incense mantras. It comes wrapped in contradiction, in chaos, in comedy. And the thunder beings didn't call you to be polished. They called you to disrupt, to dismantle. So sometimes healing is ridiculous, right? Heyoka medicine is the shock that cracks open the cocoon. It doesn't whisper, it rattles. It flips your ego on its head so your soul can stand upright. The holy fool is the last truth teller, okay? Now, most people know of Heyokas as people who walk backwards, right? Talk in riddles, splash in droughts. They do the complete opposite, right? Everyone's like, oh my God, it's so hot. They'll be like, it's so cold, right? They'll do the very opposite at times, just to throw people off, just to give the yin to the yang, right? Just to give that polarity switch. So they mirror people mercilessly, not to mock them, but to set them free. Because most people don't even see themselves. Most people don't understand their blind spots, right? And this is also why we work with specific Heyoka beings. I believe everybody has an inner jester, an inner trickster, right, that they connect with. For me, that is Master Shampoo, who's kind of like aware scorpion energy associated with my Scorpio path, probably. And for Ryan, it's Pajem, right? Through a goat's like being. And I mean, there's many different styles, right? So whatever you have as a style of Heyoka, you will understand it through dreams, accidents, visions, nervous breakdowns, sudden absurdities, right? You don't choose this path, it kind of claims you. So it's like a divine reversal, right? So the thunder beings either flip you inside out, so you could flip the world right side up. You guys get that? Hey there, babe. So you reflect truth, You reflect your transformation, you reflect your trauma. Most people laugh, they cry, they avoid you or awaken you without even knowing why, right? So you're not too much, you're exactly enough to rupture the fakeness and the mask, right? That's okay, babe. Thank you for being here. All right. So Heyoka energy lives where the rules break down in Zoom calls, in hospitals, in boardrooms, in classrooms, right? In schools, right? In memes, in mistakes, in music, in madness. You don't need feathers and fires to access this. You just need permission, right? To be the paradox. Good pocket square. Thank you, brother. Working on my style a little bit more, paying attention to it, right? Your weapon is wit, your tool is disruption. So remember, there are four forms of Heyoka medicine, at least in our Nexus system of Primal Sutra. So the mirror type is showing people what they are afraid to see. The shock type is like it's like Pokemon, right? Shock type, psychic type, right? Shock type is like a pattern breaking energy with raw absurdity. And then there's the third type that uses the contradiction, like I said, like the reverse psychology to unlock consciousness. And then, of course, there's a sacred paradox. They hold both the light and the shadow as an undivided whole. So they teach you polarity through the sacred paradox. That's wild, right? Pocket square is fire. It says Samba as well. Okay, everyone likes the pocket square. Brilliant. The world needs your foolishness more than your perfection. We're drowning in seriousness, self-importance, and curated lies, man. And we are just born to break it, to laugh the demons out, to dance before the rain, right? To build a snowman in July. That doesn't even make sense, but here we go, right? To teach the sacred through stillness. So if you're a part of a soul lineage of paradox bearers, the Vajra fools, the laughing monks, the clown shamans, the dancing rebels, across timelines and planes, you will notice that this disruptor lives in every one of those norms. So if you ignore this call, you sometimes pay in migraines, misalignments, and malfunctioning technology. Ask around you, it's real. Your resistance feeds the storm, right? And your surrender unlocks the medicine. The storm is not against you, you are the storm. So ask yourself, are you ready to laugh through the breakdown? Are you ready to guide without guiding? Are you ready to dance with the thunder instead of running from it all the time? Then stop hiding and walk backwards. Laugh loudly, speak in riddles. And shake this world awake. This is Primal Sutra. The only direction is paradox. The only rule is realness. And the only way out is through a joke. You see, the Heyoka doesn't choose, they're claimed by the thunder. They're branded by the lightning, right? Like a soul zigzags like a thunderbolt. Not to confuse, but to awaken through disruption. Hey there, SLW, what's good, man? By the way, brother, I didn't notice you had that neck tattoo. It kind of looks sick. The soft one with the heart. I made some art for all adepts, so you guys are gonna see that. I think I'll post that after this if you guys want. I made us all look like characters from the show Pantheon because I'm so obsessed with that show. I've yet to finish, I think, one or two more episodes, but I'm almost done. And yeah, the lessons and downloads are coming from that. There's a lot to unpack, so maybe I'll just make a video on that. But yeah, so the Heyoka's presence disrupts the narcissism, right? We live in a very spiritually starved culture that's built on image, that's built on domination, that's built on, curated lies and things like this. And the thing is, we're not here to just argue, right? We're here to show others the path, to lead by an example in a sense, right? And so discomfort is not always the enemy. Okay. It's actually one of the doorways to our own awakening. As crazy and wild as that sounds, right? So true healing begins where your comfort ends, right? So you stir the water so the rot can rise to the surface. Hey, Ghostface Chris, what's good? Let's get it. Soft heart always. Soft heart. Okay. That's a paradox, right? That's a Heyoka statement. Soft heart, right? And what is it? It's soft or hard? Soft heart. You know? But yeah, soft heart. Got it. So it's not cruelty, it's an alchemical care, right? So there's many different channels of Heyoka medicine. The first is probably like a disruptor energy, disruption, right? Cracking the cultural hypnosis that's out there. Then we have embodied paradox, like holding contradictions with ease, with grace. Then we have truth through absurdity. If you guys know of absurdism, it means like everything doesn't really have a meaning, right? In a sense. So laughing at the ego and awareness. And then we have, of course, sacrificing approval to serve authenticity, which leads to ego death, resurrection, right? Rebuilding the character archetypes and so forth. And of course, you have shadow integration. Shadow integration reveals what society represses and works towards transmuting it. So your path looks like madness to the uninitiated. They'll call you dangerous, they'll call you inappropriate, they'll call you offensive. Good, because disruption creates the new space. You were never here to be liked, you were just here to be lightning. Am I correct or am I correct? Right? This world is starving for the holy fools. Where are they? Where are the trickster sages, right? The ones with crazy wisdom, where are they, right? We're noticing some of them show up randomly. They arrive with riddles, reversals, and raw laughter to restore that sacred pulse, right? But not a lot of us, we don't really understand these thunder beings, right? Because the thunder beings are calling from within. They're not just from the sky, right, guys? So this is the one of the differences is if your bones remember, if your sleep is haunted by sacred nonsense, right? If you felt way too honest, way too intense, way too awake for others, that's a Heyoka destiny for you. That's not a dysfunction, according to me, because the Heyoka is almost like a living initiation, right? Not an identity thing that you choose, not a persona or a trait that looks cool. Oh, let me just be a sacred clown for today. Maybe that'll be a really cool flex on my friends, right? No, that's not what we're doing, right? So we have to turn others the right side up by being upside down. The world calls you a fool, but heaven calls you a healer. That's the Heyoka, yo. And when the storm is done, it's your laughter that echoes across the reborn earth. Hey there, Andrea. So this is the home of the sacred misfits. We are Primal Sutra. We are in the dojo of paradox right now. They're the temple of thunder and human skin, if you can call it that. And if you're still listening to this, you're probably one of us. You should probably join the Telegram group, okay? You see, Heyoka isn't an identity. It's a thunderstruck initiation, right? You're called through your dreams. You're called through random meditations that terrify you, but then suddenly make you start laughing in Satori, right? You're either stuck or you're not. So the Wakiyan, right? Spelled also, the female version is spelled Joaquina. So Joaquina, but then the Joaquian is the probably just the male and the female version, but it's basically it's beyond gender construct, right? So this is kind of a hermaphrodite energy. It appears as a male form as the Heyoka, who's the sacred backwards walker, you could say. Why is he walking backwards, right? Everybody else is walking forwards, and this guy is just walking backwards. What's going on there, right? Our human minds want to create a pattern out of this, try to make sense of it. But you can't make sense of the nonsense, at least not if you're not tapped into the divine masculine energy, because that's what the divine masculine is making sense of nonsense, right? So when I first got into the spiritual community, I noticed it was promulgated with a lack of clarity, a bunch of confusion, right? A bunch of just vagueness and amorphous concepts without practical results. So this is what myself and Ryan G, we wanted to change this because we started to notice that, hey, pragmatism wins at the end of the day, right? We could talk about Shakti and awakening all day, but if we're not living our life fully, if we're not engaged with it, if we're not the thunder beings in our daily lives, right? We have to cleanse the stagnation from earth or water or minds, right? So this means that this is a cleansing thunder that happens from within. Tornadoes or battles, they say, between the Hawkina and the dark forces, the kind of chaotic Unktehi, I think they call them in the Native American Lakota tradition and so forth. Unktehi, that as far as Chief Deno has taught me, but I don't really know the exact pronunciations, guys. But they aren't just natural events, right? So tornadoes, they think, are like a cosmic immune system that purges distortion. Isn't that cool? Isn't that a cool way to think of weather, right? Like that's just the cosmic immune system purging right now, purging through distortions and illusions in Maya, right? What a cool way of looking at tornadoes, right? And so, oh, that's that spinny thing, right? So if you've ever seen a turtle, right? It's a sacred earth-water bridge. It's a guardian of water purity. And the Huaquina couldn't enter water to fight corruption, so they partnered with the turtle energy to go and cleanse the water. Okay. So the turtle is actually one of the most sacred animals in the Lakota myth. I think that's how I originally also connected with Guru Lantern. If you guys know my guide, Guru Lantern, who has the form of a turtle. And Mathis keeps sharing those turtle videos as well. And I think we have been drawn to this idea of the turtle and the shell, right? Going into the shell, retreating, right? That's been like a theme for the hermits, the empath, right? It's just to go into my shell. I don't want to face the world anymore, right? So it's interesting because even the eagles bow to the water. And if you notice the power of the drum, boom, 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 that sings these, thunder underground songs. The Huacanang gifted them the frequency to cleanse emotion and spaces. So offbeat rhythms that are kind of random and trippy that throw off the song are actually a part of the song. So no drum, they clap, they rattle, right? Randomly, like where the drum beat is supposed to be, there's a random rattle, right? It's an intentional sound of sacred hygiene because it's throwing in these pattern interrupts, as I taught the adepts yesterday, the kind of a download that I got, right? Is that the West's direction, the Heyoka's gates, holds the power to restructure the psyche, to heal the head trauma, the soul loss, and emotional chaos, because sometimes healing comes through like different reversals, right? Through comedy, through absurdity. Because honestly, the linear path nowadays, at least, is quite broken, right? Now, there is something very valid about following a system A to B, right? Ryan G is an expert in that. That's what makes our path working, more precision-based, flawless. But at the same time, have you ever just understood this energy of just like walking against the grain, right? Walking offbeat. He marches to the beat of his own drum, man, right? That's the Heyoka. So the clothes reversed, speaking in codes and riddles, entire consciousness getting flipped, that inversion, that sacred inversion becomes the medicine, right? What if someone's terrified of snakes, right? You go and visit them in a snake costume in their birthday party. You're going, what the bro? Why are you doing that? Right? That's so audacious, right? Who in the world why are you dressed like a snake in my birthday party, man? Right? They won't understand it. They won't get it. Why? Because they think you're trying to mock them or make fun of them, whereas you're really trying to heal one of their core phobias through the reptile mind, becoming an actual reptile and showing up and shocking the system awake. You guys are getting this? By the way, always burn cedar wood when you hear thunder. This is something that I learned from these specific beings. And when you burn it, you will notice this kind of spiritual technology starting to emerge. I don't know, I've at least noticed this quality of when there's like huge thunderstorms, and then the cedar just kind of calms it, earths it down, right? Grounds it down for me. So it's very, very powerful. And so Heyoka speech is oftentimes opposite speech. So when they say something like "I hate you," they actually mean "I love you," right? So it's not sarcasm, right? It's very different from sarcasm that we have to understand it, because sarcasm is like a modern day equivalent of the Heyoka's, reversal, mirroring of the soul's resistance type of energy. Okay. So sacred nonsense sometimes scrambles the ego script, right? And lets the truth slip into that cosmic nonsense. So I could be giving a speech about, making banana bread, but like embed like a golden nugget of wisdom in there somewhere, right? Which book do you recommend for me to start reading? In regards to this, brother, um, I'll have to ask the Nexus later, brother, because that's a very big question. Because you want to also ask what kind of portal do I want to open is the real question you're asking, because when you read something, right, from an author, like if I were to read Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, I'm going to become and take on the consciousness of Eckhart. So I'm going to be slower. I'm going to, be more in that zone as I'm listening to his audiobooks daily, right? Right. I'm embodying the qualities of that. So it really depends on who's an epic author that you want to be like, and then work your way towards reading books from there. That's what I would guide you as an adept. Okay. However, I will check in with the Nexus and let you know in terms of this. So bear wisdom and buffalo guardianship were also mythic allies, I believe, in the Lakota tradition, as well as so the bear I think is called Hunu, or a very funny name. Hunu was the first to sneak into the council of the Wakantanka and steal like sacred songs. Okay. So they brought them to humanity, like gifted rhythm, ritual, and sacred language through the bear wisdom. Right. So bears symbolize wisdom, and the buffaloes were protection of women and the earth. Okay. So the buffalo are the Tatankas, and they're both initiated into divinity by the Hokwina herself. Okay. And this Hayoka lifestyle is basically you're living as a paradox. Okay. You're living as the holy paradox. So that means you're walking backwards. You're saying the opposite to what mainstream society is saying, right? Kind of like a modern day hipster, if you think about it, right? But less ironic, more transformational and spiritually oriented, I would say, right? Not like you're trying to be cool for your friends in the Northwest. It's more so you're trying to evolve past the barriers and the stupid constructs of society, like that are barricading you, trapping you, So it's a ritual inversion to awaken truth from sleep, right? So thunder and these thunder beings, they care about our purity, our truth, and our sacred duty. Because what is a lightning strike, right? It is a reminder that there is a sky of enlightenment available to us, correct? So that is why we as Vajra practitioners, we understand the lightning is within us. Every thought that I have is lightning, right? Every single thought that I have is lightning. Every single feeling that that thought causes becomes magnetism. And we are electromagnetic beings, right? And so when you were consciously creating the thunder, 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 right? When you're consciously creating it, then you've been tasked with chaos for the sake of clarity, because laughter is lightning, right? What is that spark of truth in that moment that lets go through a release, right? That seems holy to me. Okay. That seems like a sacred purge to me. So absurdity is holy, backwards is forwards. Okay. Kind of like April Fool's Day, right? Everything becomes topsy-turvy, flipped on its head. Well, probably also a moment to go inside the house when lightning strikes to prevalence. Depends, Ryan G. What if you want psychic powers, right? And you want to stand next to the, but yeah, don't be stupid, right? Read the disclaimer. And so the Heyoka is not a vibe. It's not an aesthetic, right? It's not an Instagram filter. It's not the soul rattling transmission that is from the underworld. It's a cosmic paradox switch, right? Young electric thought discharge. Yeah. I make my demons eat my truth. They can't handle it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? You were stuck here on planet Earth for a reason. Welcome to the Vajra Path, the Thunder Path. I hope you guys enjoyed this little breakdown. Definitely ask me any questions. Adepts, of course, get priority, but anybody else, absolutely tap in. Have an incredible rest of your day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. We got this. You got this. Upward spiral gang to infinity and beyond. Okay, guys? Peace and love. Om Shanti 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 Shanti.